Today's stories are pretty wild. We have a woman who thinks her husband's having some kind of emotional affair with his dead mistress, and an elderly couple who have opened up their marriage, but only one of them is getting any action. If you want to see how these stories end, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
Here's my dilemma. Do I postpone my wedding and give us a shot to work this out? Or do I run for the hills? I'm wondering if I'm completely missing his perspective on all this. My fiancé's 40, I'm 30, and we've been together for about 9 years. A year or two into our relationship, we spent some time apart because I felt like he had an inappropriate relationship with a coworker. We ended up getting back together, but he continued sleeping with her during the first few months of us trying to work things out. In the end, we did work things out as the infidelity isn't as big of an issue for me as it is for other people. I quickly felt trust with him again, and things were great. The issue regarding the affair has rarely come up, since we talked through our resolution a few years ago. 6 years later, we got engaged, and almost a year after that, his mistress died. Excuse my cold tone with this, but to me, she's not a good person, and I will never see her in that light. I even found out that she had a fetish for taken men, and she played a big role in the end of 4 other marriages. At her parents' request, my fiancé went to the funeral and spoke, despite me expressing how hurtful and disrespectful it was, at least in my eyes. In the months following her death, he's participated in a fundraising held in honor of this woman. I've continued to express how hurtful and disrespectful I find his involvement in all this. While I'm capable of moving on and forgiving him for the original affair, when he keeps doing things that bring it to the forefront of our relationship, I can't help but to feel hurt by it. There's a messy history, after all. I feel like I've sacrificed so much, sat back, and been the one to bend over and compromise on everything surrounding her in these situations. After everything, I can't see a single thing that he's compromised on when it comes to this. All I see is an inappropriate and disrespectful emotional connection with his dead mistress. There was a small fundraising dinner in her honor the other night, which is when things really hit the fan. I again expressed my feelings on the situation, especially since he didn't tell me until an hour before he was going to attend. He said that I need to get over the affair and stop holding it over his head and that I need to figure my stuff out. He wishes I could see his perspective because I wouldn't be upset if I stepped back and saw his side of things. He also said he was sick of my meritless threats after I said, if you're going to continue having an inappropriate emotional connection with your dead mistress, bringing it to the forefront of our lives, I can't live the rest of my life like that. He replied with, I have the right to honor a good friend, and she's always had my back even after I chose you. This really caught me off guard. I thought there was no connection to her anymore. I also thought I had a partner who would care enough about my feelings to be willing to change his actions. I know that I would feel awful if he came to me and said that something I was doing was hurtful to him, and that he found it disrespectful. I'm getting none of that from him.
For the life of me, I can't understand why OP's partner isn't putting her feelings first. After all, she's the one he's trying to build a life with. I'm not sure what OP's stance is regarding starting a family, but if her confidence in this relationship is lacking, it may be time to move on. That said, she's already invested 9 years into the relationship, so I doubt it'll be that easy. But being gaslit and disregarded by the person you're supposed to mean the most to isn't a good look. Anyway, let's pop down to the comments to see what's being said.
Waste Ad says, respectfully, how on earth has he always put you before him? This situation sounds horrible, and he sounds horrible. Who wants to celebrate a person who has a fetish for purposely breaking up people's relationships? More importantly, what type of person does this to a partner they supposedly love? Multiple times. I'm very sorry if I sound harsh, but this man has never chosen you. You're so deep and can't see it. But why are you settling for being treated like this? You do not deserve it, and this man is not a good person. Please love yourself more than this. Leave and get some individual counseling so you can move on for your own well-being. Please take care. You're so young and have an amazing life ahead of you once you free yourself from this mess. Mock says, it's time to end this. Personally, I would have ended it years ago. Once a cheater, always a cheater. For me, there is no going back. it's a deal breaker. It doesn't matter what they say or how sorry they are. It doesn't matter how many times they say, "I love you," or that it will never happen again. It's never a one and done. OP, he lied to you. He continued some kind of relationship. He had some type of feelings for her, but he's dismissing your very valid feelings. He's calling your bluff because he knows you won't leave, because you didn't leave all those years ago. I think it was a mistake to see it as more the woman's fault. All those men, they chose to cheat. They're all just as guilty as she was. Don't waste any more time. Get things in order and leave.
I would say, the way OP's partner is so dismissive of her feelings, he's likely to cheat on her again in the future. If he does go behind OP's back again, he might even end up leaving this time. Does OP really want to wait for that to happen?
My wife's 60 and I'm 65, and we've slowly been growing apart for the past few years. I'm not quite in a dead bedroom relationship, but it's pretty close. And there's not much communication between us. She says she loves me but isn't in love with me. And a few months ago, out of the blue while we were floating around in the pool one afternoon, she asked me what I thought about opening our marriage. We'd discussed her exploring her bisexual feelings in the past, and possibly swinging with another couple we're good friends with, but nothing ever materialized from it. Anyway, I thought, why not? She might be ready to spice up our marriage. A few days later, she told me she's meeting a subcontractor coworker who's 45, and that she's been chatting and sexting with him. They've known each other for a year but haven't met yet, and the dirty talk is recent. They eventually meet and arrange a rendezvous for a couple days later. Out of curiosity, I get on some relevant subreddits to learn about open marriages. I learned about boundaries, rules, agreements, and communicating to her about what will work for us. She said it will be a purely sexual affair to fulfill her fantasies and that it can't progress any further than sex with him. He's married, has kids, and apparently hasn't done this kind of thing before and doesn't want to jeopardize his own marriage. My wife told me I'm free to pursue anyone I want without any restrictions. She even suggested a few of her single friends. My wife and this guy work together fairly closely over the phone, and she has full access to his schedule. They don't get along very well and argue on the phone about work-related stuff and are polar opposites about everything else. Yet, they hook up once or twice a week. It started out with them having sex in his work truck at the risk of getting caught in some parking lot, but eventually they moved on to using hotels because they didn't want to get caught or get in trouble. One of our boundaries was to always use condoms, but that went by the wayside after a few months as she couldn't climax with them. After those encounters, she'd always come home frustrated, and we had sex a few times during that period. During one of their hookups, she broke one of his boundaries and was in crisis mode for a few days afterwards, but never divulged what it was. She's fairly open about telling me general things about their time together, but some details she's like, "Don't ask, don't tell." She dreads the day they have to break up and has told me she'll be a basket case when that happens. She's predicting that it's going to happen soon, but I don't know how she knows that. We still share a bed, shower, swim nude, enjoy long cuddles before bed, and share hugs and kisses throughout the day, but she's cut me off from sex. When I'm close to her, sometimes she's receptive, but other times she gets the ick. She doesn't want a divorce, and neither do I. She wants to continue our best friends relationship because, like I said, she loves me but isn't in love with me, and she doesn't desire me as a sexual partner. I'm super horny when she gets home from one of her hookups, but I haven't found anyone to play with yet. Do I keep the status quo or start packing up the house and find a divorce lawyer? She still says that she doesn't want to leave our happy home, and I don't want to split up either, but I would like sex with her every once in a while.
If your partner brings up the topic about opening your relationship, they're almost always cheating, or have someone in mind already. The sad thing about this story is that OP and his wife aren't spring chickens. Yet, it'll be much easier for her to find someone to have fun with, but for him, not so much. In this situation, she's getting all the benefits. She gets to have amazing sex with someone younger, and then come home to all that safety and security. Why would she want to give that up? OP, on the other hand, isn't getting any action in the bedroom, and has to deal with getting rejected by his wife on what seems to be a daily basis. Given their age, I probably wouldn't tell OP to up and leave, but I might suggest that he put himself back on the market. Maybe then he'll be able to find someone to spend the rest of his days with and get a little extra action in the bedroom. Let's see what they're saying in the comments.
Billy from Philly says, so she has all kinds of great sex with him and comes home to a house where all the bills are paid and dinner's ready. What's not to be happy about for her? How do you actually feel? I've been with my wife close to 30 years, and the day my wife even brought this up, I'd be looking for divorce attorneys. But that's me. I can only give advice based on what I would do. Having sex with someone other than me is a hard no. White Castle Doctrine says, she's cheating on you, except you technically gave her permission. The open marriage request was just a way for her to ease her guilt. I'd bet my next paycheck that they already slept together before she asked, and if you said no, she would have done it anyway. Ask me how I know. It's because I was asked for an open marriage out of the blue, except I said no. Anyway, you agreed to an open marriage, and she already had a 100-foot head start, and you're still at the starting gate. Everyone else will tell you to file for divorce and move on, and they're probably right. Your other option is to just accept that your wife is now your roommate.
I genuinely think, when it comes to open marriages, guys benefit from it the least because it takes so much time and effort to get another woman interested. If you're a woman and just looking for sex, you can open up any dating app you like and get matched within minutes. Prove me wrong. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.